This is the way I see the sun. All right, we look out across the ocean, at least us here in areas that are near the water. I'm looking west across the Gulf of Mexico. I'm in the central west coast of Florida, and I've been doing sunsets for a while now. And these are some of the things that I'm gonna say. You don't have to believe me. Um, you definitely don't have to take my word for it. But sea level isn't really level. There's a lot of waves. There's swells, big waves in certain areas. So it's not really level like undisturbed water is. But at a certain point, when you get past that visible water line, what you see is a mirroring of the sky. Um, Tides, winds, angle of the sun hitting the water, all play a part. Atmospheric conditions, temperature, where the sun is positioned in the sky, refraction, diffraction, but more or less reflections off that water. And I'm gonna show you the sunset like you've never seen it before. And I will leave it up to you as the viewer to decide on what you are actually seeing. Okay, I've been going through and looking at my sunset videos, and then I decided to go out and do one. And this was a fairly clear day. There was some, what I would call some haze at the horizon line. It was a reddish tint, but I thought it was a perfect condition to do this video. So I named it this for a reason, because I do believe that the sunset is an illusion, that it does not really go over any curvature of Earth. Number one, if we're standing out in the middle of an island and we're looking east to west, or east and west, and we can only see 3 miles, being that I'm actually not 6 foot tall, but if I'm a 6 foot tall man, they say I can see 3 miles out into the horizon. So that means it takes 12 hours for the sun, from the time that I see it to the time that it sets, to move across 6 miles of my vision. That does not seem possible. That seems like it's a little bit of a ridiculous thought, ridiculous claim, ridiculous education. They educate us and they tell us this, but it's up to you whether or not you want to believe them or accept their bullshit. Okay, I'm gonna say it, bullshit. It's bullshit. So you can look with your own eyes, and I will try to explain this as best as possible that I can for you. As the sun gets lower in the sky, and we start seeing it get near the water, we see some really beautiful scenery. And within this scenery, our eyes are distracted from what's really going on. It does appear that the sun sets over the curvature of Earth. You see this visible water line out in the distance with your naked eye, and that's where you, as the viewer standing on a shore, is seeing an illusion. You're being deceived by your own eyes. And we know that our eyes are very easily deceived. Clouds behind the sun and moon is an illusion. It's a deception. Cameras can deceive you. The light deceives you. And this is where what we see off the water, um, at this visible water line that you see in the distance, is not the true horizon line. Because what happens is the light, the brightness of the light, shines on the water, and that light is being reflected back up into the sky. Also, anything that hits that water that's beyond that water line, there's more water back there, believe me, um, will be reflected up, or you're actually seeing a mirroring of the sky itself. And to prove this, I put this little video together so you could actually watch it again. I've done a couple of videos, and you know, I could not explain it as well as I can now. At least I think I can, because I've watched this particular video probably 20 times now, and what I'm seeing is something that most of us never see. Because we're so in awe of the beauty of a sunset that we don't really give it that much attention. We watch it, it disappears, and we're like, wow. You'll see some beautiful little scenes in this. You'll see some birds flying, which is absolutely beautiful. But this is where, like I say, we kind of get deceived on what we're seeing. Here comes a nice little birdie. Also, on the right, little bit below the center of the sun, you'll see a couple little sunspots there too. Okay, so yes, the Coolpix P900 is one heck of a camera, and if anybody's wanting to purchase a camera, I would suggest that you purchase this one because the zoom power is just absolutely awesome with it. Now we're getting to the point here where it's getting low. It's going to get near the water line, and this is something that in this video I do have a lot of the lighting turned down on my camera, so you are not going to really see the water line until a little bit later, um, as the sun disappears. It's going to do a vanishing act more than it is going to go over any kind of curvature. So what I did, have to say that I think I'm gonna point out a few good points about this. Now, number one, there's going to be an arrow that pops up here, and I'm going to show you right where this arrow points is where the true horizon line is. This is the sun reflecting off the water that's past that water line. That is your true horizon line. And as the sun sinks, or appears to sink, it's not really sinking. But what I want you to do is pay close attention to the size of the sun right now and watch how it blends into its own reflection. It's basically going to disappear into its own reflection. It's going to get smaller within its own reflection. People say that, oh, if the earth was flat, well, you would see the sun get smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, when it gets to this point, it does get smaller, but we don't see it with our naked eyes. And this is why I've done this zoom in video. Now, what you'll see is right here, this is where the magic's gonna begin. Because if you watch it on each side, it's going to actually get smaller. It is blending into its own reflection. And you don't notice this standing on a shore, because most of us, again, we are just in awe of such a beautiful sunset. Now, with the camera zoomed in, everything does go black around the sun, and it looks like a black hole. And all the light is in the center of that black hole. So it ain't really a black hole, it's a light hole. And I put out a different video, and I think I called it Window into Heaven, and I actually showed this. But I didn't really even notice it myself back then. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another arrow here. It was a little windy that day, but I waited till this video settled down a little bit, and I put another arrow here to show you where that actual horizon line is. It is there. So what you're actually seeing is the sun is shrinking into its own reflection, and nobody realizes this. Nobody sees this. Now, at the point that I put right about here, actually, is I used the zoom tool. I took that portion of the video from that point to the end of this, to this next transition, and I used the zoom tool, and I zoomed in on it, and I wanted to give you a close-up view and a slow motion view of that sun. Now this is the sun, and it's going to slowly disappear. It's going to do a magic act. It's going to do an illusion. It's going to deceive you because it is going to disappear, but it's going to disappear into the atmosphere. Just like some of my boats that I show that get out to a certain point in the horizon, it disappears back into that mirage, that glass area, that mirroring area, that area that mirrors the sky. So again, I'm presenting this to you as my proof. And again, I don't expect anybody to believe me. They don't have to believe me. But this is what I see. So I've got this thing slowed way down. And this is what I want you to see, how this is working. And how where below this, you can see the visible water line. But up above, or above that water line, you can tell that that is a mirroring of the sky. And this is mirrored from the top to the bottom. If you split that in half, it's just mirroring the sun slowly fading away. Now, I am not a professional photographer, but I think that my videos is going to prove to your own eyes what actually happens to the sun. It is a deception. It is an illusion. So again, this is my presentation of my proof that the sun never sets. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.